Hang on, guys. I just did something weird with my sound. Let me see if I can get my headset connected. Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Drop a one if you can hear me, please. Um, drop a one. Drop a one. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, come on. Oh, once. Okay. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. Because I was hearing the clapping on this side of the microphone or on this side of the earbuds. How are you? We're back in Kraynick's break room. I did not think we would be back this soon. And I've pushed back the Corey Richins deep dive for a little bit later because this is 28 pages. How are you guys? Where are you coming in from? I see all the ones. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to get started. I'm in Manhattan. It's freezing. It's not really freezing. It's cold though. I have been wearing my jacket the last 2 days instead of my vest, mainly because someone stole my vest out of the lobby of my building. Anyway, we'll get over it. Morning. Hi, Claudette. What the hell? I was just reading. You were. Aloha, Kim. How are you? Southwest Louisiana. Is it cold there? Kansas. Oh my God. Okay. Wizard of Oz, favorite movie of all time. The one with Judy Garland. Okay, let's get into it because I haven't read it. As soon as I saw it, I was like moving stuff around because listen. We all been waiting. Arizona here. Really? Where in Arizona? Two of my sisters are out there in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, one is in the city, one is outside of the city. I got to get out there. Judge looked extra happy with Sarah. Yes. Mississippi. Hey, MISS. MI, cricket letter, cricket letter. Wizard of Oz Museum. Supposed to be cold. Maybe you're free. Oh, Tucson. Like the bird. Hopefully I said that right. I don't want to read it into. Oh my God. Okay, let's get going then. Oh my God. There's new comments down here. Okay, I'm gonna read a little bit, then I'll get into the comments because I am. How do I hide this comment? I'm very curious as to what she has to say. Let me make this a little bit bigger. December 6th. So what day? She was sentenced on the 2nd, right? Because that's the day Sugar Bear turned 18 months. So that was last Monday. So when was the 6th? I like all these details. Oh my God, I have been muted. What is happening? Okay, we're gonna go back. I am so sorry. Lord Jesus, hold on. That's I want to try setting them up again. Sorry. Oh my God. I was having such a blast. We get to go back over. I'm on the second page, just having a good old time. Okay. December 6th. Uh-oh. Wait. Hang on. Let me turn off the other TV. I got too much going on. Give me 2 seconds of a lamb's tail. I can still talk to you guys while I do this, but I am thanks to this headset. But yeah, sorry about that. Okay, this is better because I was about to lose my mind. Sarah's crazy, y'all. Hopefully you guys can see the screen, but okay, let's take it back. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay, first I was marveling that she called him Mr. Kraynick. Mr. Michael Kraynick and not your honorable zaddy Michael Kraynick. I'm annoyed already. And she sucks. So let's go. Dear Michael Kraynick, I am enclosing, please, my complete statement to you and the world. That's us, you guys. We're the world. As I partially read during my sentencing hearing, by my reserving particular parts of my very true and meaningful statement, I was hoping to have been graced with your forgiveness, understanding, and consideration in any level or degree. I look like I was having a good time because I was shocked at her craziness. Oh my God. I was hoping to have been graced with your forgiveness, understanding, and consideration in any level or degree. For me, unfortunately, and regardless of whom I had speak on my behalf or the number of, your ignorant underscore mind was already made up. Balls of a burglar to call him ignorant. Also, I don't think she's aware that if she wins an appeal for whatever random reason, it's going back to Judge Kraynick, right? She's not rid of him. So maybe not call him ignorant. And an appeal, winning an appeal only gets you another trial. It doesn't set you free. And that's assuming there was an error made that the appellate court, and then that can be appealed. The state can appeal that if there's so much, but either way, she's going back to Kraynick if she gets an appeal. So maybe calling him ignorant is not a great idea. And then this part when she says, by reserving particular parts of my very true and meaningful statement, I was hoping to have been graced with your forgiveness. So that's Owen's advice of like, don't say all this or you're going to get life. And now since she's gotten life, she was like, well, I reserved that because I thought that was going to help me. But now that it's not helping me, I'm about to unleash the beast. By your underscore clear error and full-blown unfair bias against me, since your involvement in my crucible case as a whole, I have been unsuccessful in receiving anything from you as a supposed fair and neutral judge, except for underscore your wish that I spend the rest of my life in prison. So, crucible, there was a wrongful judgment, right? I don't see that being wrong here, right? They burned women at the stake. They had the witch hunts in the crucible. What has she been crucified over that she didn't do? Because she definitely murdered George. Please know and always remember, Mr. Kraynick, I forgive you, underscore. Still and sincerely. Please understand also the judge, according to Cicero, is never to lose sight that he is simply a man, underscore, and that he cannot exceed the power given to him by his commission. That not only power, are you going to make that noise every time I talk? That not only power, but public confidence has been given to him, that he ought always very seriously to attend not to his wishes, but to the requisitions of law, of justice, and religion. Sic pro quintes. I'm excited in my appeal, which speaks for itself. Lorem ipser, something, the thing speaks for itself. My case law as well, in which I am extremely proud to have achieved, and will continue doing so now that I am no longer in your corrupt court and free from your malevolent judicial grip. Going back to Kraynick. Going back to Kraynick. We need somebody to do that song, like to the Going Back to Cali beat. Sarah Boone v. State of Florida. So she's suing the state of Florida because it's supposed to be state v. Sarah Boone, Florida v. Anyway, and what does she mean by her case law? Like that her case, the law coming out of her case, because it hasn't won an appeal. So in and of itself, the trial court is not setting precedent. I also have added to my statement, as a result of your blindness and impartiality, foremost, your disgust in me as being an outspoken woman. So that's when I said we ain't claiming her. Us outspoken women, we're not claiming her. She's beyond outspoken. She's belligerent. Determined defendant and proactive client, hoping the next time you put on your listening ears and do not unfairly oppress the next as you have so blatantly done me. And we know, Sarah, that's why you got in there forced to be pro se. Like your conduct had nothing to do with it. You will never admit your many judicial errors, nor will the prosecutors theirs. And I will never admit to what you have wrongfully accused me of and judged me as murderer. And then she says, underscore, I am not a murderer. Underscore, I am a survivor. Sarah Boone. Okay, so that's her little preamble. Black robe disease, arrogance in a judge, a slang term for a judge who flaunts judicial power and dominates proceedings at the expense of the dispensation of justice. I would not say that is true of Kraynick. Impartiality is the first duty of a judge before he gives an opinion or sits in judgment in a cause. He ought to be certain and absolute that he has no bias for or against either of the parties. If he has any interest, even the most slightest, in the cause, he is disqualified from sitting as a judge. Never did Owens or any of the prior counsel, well, technically it would only be Hobson and Cashman, right? Because before that she had Wooten. None of them asked him to recuse himself. So what's she going on about? Where'd this come from? Ought to be lawfully and justly refuse to sit on a case. It's either refuse or recuse to sit on it, but I'm guessing in this context it's refuse. The delicacy which characterizes the judges in this country generally forbids their sitting in such a cause. Based on what? Can you quote your source, ma'am? Okay, who thought, do you think if Sarah would have gotten a different sentence, she was still sending Kraynick a letter? I feel like she was going to send him one no matter what, even if he gave her like 40 years. I feel like this letter was coming. But she hasn't liked him since he made her go pro se, right? Because remember when she was like kissing up to him and then she sent him that nasty letter, she said it was a surprise. She said it was forced. All done? Yeah. Okay. The judge must not only be impartial, but must also follow and properly enforce the law, not abuse. He is bound to declare what law is and not make it. Be not an arbitrator, but an interpreter of the law. It is their duty to be patient in the investigation of the case, understand circumstances and difficulties by all parties, careful in considering parts of a case in whole, and decent in judgment. Bouvier Law Dictionary, 2012 edition. Usually in most law dictionaries, they don't put that extra E in judgment. I usually see that from lay people, but whatever. But at the risk of practicing judicial centrism, a word I have coined in this presentation, oh Lord, others have called it black robe disease. Whether he was correct or not in my behavior, it is widely accepted that judicial behavior affects the jury. Murray Ritchell, The Simpson Trial, 1996, like as in O.J. Simpson. I don't know if we should be quoting that one. That is not an exemplary example of justice carried out. And then there is the worst of judicial ailments, the black robe disease, which is otherwise known as arrogance. Lynn Tollier, A Practical Guide to Becoming an Emotional Genius. Oh my God. The worst of judicial ailments. Okay. But what classifies this black robe disease? Trial judges are affirmatively charged with securing a fair trial and must intervene sua sponte to that end when necessary. Brown v. Walter. That duty encompasses not only the avoidance of error before it occurs, but the fair correction of error that may have occurred earlier in a proceeding. Carlisle v. United States. So I will say he did a pretty damn good job. Remember when Owens in the trial was like, I need to do another deposition of Tonya Werner. Right on the spot, judge did it. He documented what, like 16 pages when he denied her further state paid for attorneys. Like, I feel like Judge Kraynick went above and beyond to thoroughly explain things, make sure things were accounted for. Like, he was more than patient with Miss Sarah Boone. The patience of Job Zadie Kraynick has. In the instant case, the trial judge did not analyze the evidence. He added to it, dealing with a mere mannerism of the accused in giving his testimony. It looks like she spelled it testimony. Freudian slip, Sarah. The judge put his own experience with all the weight that could be attached to it in the scale against the accused. Wouldn't it be on the scale? Like you're tipping the. Anyway, I don't know what that says. Somebody. America v. United States. Oh my God. Kitsukuroi. Oh my God. Is this her? It is. This is it. Page 1. Okay. It's a kind of Japanese ceramic style, which means to repair with gall. And do you know somebody took their time and wrote this out on Reddit? Now we got the real thing from Little Miss Sarah. Okay, to repair with gold. In this tradition, when a ceramic piece breaks, an artisan will fuse the pieces back together again using liquid gold or gold dust lacquer. So rather than being covered up, the breaks become more obvious and a brilliant new piece of art emerges from the brokenness. It embraces flaws, weakness, and imperfections, and also teaches the essence of resilience. Every crack in a ceramic piece is part of its history, and each piece becomes more beautiful because it has been broken. This is the wisdom of Kitsuku Roy. Koroi, I don't know how to say it, guys. I'm not even gonna pretend. In my wisdom and with all my repairs, then, now, and ongoing, God is, has been, and will always be my artisan. All of my gold is forgiveness. This has held me together, made me shine brighter, and overcome the damage caused by George Torres, the Torres family, the justice system, Judge Wooten and Kraynick. Okay, that part she took out. Orange County Corrections Department, social media, scoundrel detectives, infamy, defamation, ongoing constitutional rights violations, second-degree murder, forced into being pro se. Another dig at the judge. Just as gold is very precious, forgiveness is invaluable. Uh-oh. So it looks like this is out of order. So that was page 1. I'm going to scroll. Close your eyes if this is going to bother you because I got to get to page 2. Forgiveness is not an attempt to change or forget who, what, or how you've lived through to be so gold, but an act of grace, humility, and considerable self-compassion to be set free from sorrow. Okay. So humility, Sarah doesn't have. Grace, she does not have. Withholding forgiveness denies your brilliance and adds even greater grief and deeper heartache. So Sarah is free. She's brilliant because she's forgiven us. Irreparable cracks on top of the already that no one deserves. No matter the pain or disappointment, untruths or injustice, it doesn't matter. As the more broken you are, even though now different than before, you've become more outstanding and more extraordinary. Above all, when you let go of blame, misunderstandings, excuses, give up your anger, and cease from resentment, this is forgiveness. And then she's going to go on to talk about everything she resents and is angry about. And when you forgive, you heal. And when you heal, you move forward. My goal begins with George Torres and everything, every time he slapped me, kicked, punched, spit on, stabbed, choked, laughed at, pushed, pulled, dragged, whipped, tripped, stole from, lied, terrorized, threatened, humiliated, forced, degraded, made me cry every time he tried to end me, defeat, or destroy. And I think we all know by now, end me is this expression that Sarah uses. I don't think George ever said that to her. I forgive George for beating me senseless. Well, now we know why she's senseless. For trying to. Now we got to go back to 3. Hold on. Trying to sleep because I had to go to work or my son's field trip the next day. So we know of 2 instances where she had a job. December of 2019 and July of 2018. She had just started her job the week before when she got arrested. And then she had the job in December where she's at the top of the stair landing going on about, you didn't ask me about the famous baseball player. All these other times, what job, Sarah? What field trip? For ruining my deceased family's heirlooms, traditions, and keepsakes, my son's furniture, destroying the television we watched together. What is the significance of the son's furniture? Is that on the same level as the R-ing? Why just give us this laundry list? For wrecking our townhome by breaking windows, punching holes in the walls and doors, ramming his entire body into glass doors, kicking in my front and back door over and over and over. This is after she told Mr. J he would never break in and he knew where the hidden keys, plural, were. And, oh, fun. Sugar Bear's taking apart remote controls. Yeah. And the maintenance man said there were no holes and whatnot in the wall. For breaking or removing the locks from all the doors and sometimes the knobs altogether, so I had nowhere to feel safe, including the sacred space of my son's room where he beat me bloody on his bed. Why is this son's room sacred of all places? And I was watching Dr. Barry and she said something that was really profound that I hadn't thought of. George had no place to run, right? He was trapped. There was no place in that house that was sacred for him or where he could get away. For terrorizing and threatening my blind and deaf dogs by leaving the gate open I built to keep them safe. Telling me he hoped I'd find their bloated dead body in the pond or scrap their, I think she means scrape, but she forgot to scrape their remains off of the pavement, for kicking them off the bed and throwing across the room because they were trying to protect me. How is leaving the gate open terrorizing them? If you train them, they won't go out there. For threatening to make me unrecognizable to my son by breaking all the bones in my face, like his brother Moses did to him after he kept seeing all the bruises. Get to page 4. From George beating me, like all the times their father beat their mother. For all the drunken rages and fistfights with so many neighbors. This should not be an apostrophe S. When wandering into their apartments during hunting expeditions after I escaped. So this I find interesting because you know how back in the day, like women were gatherers, men were hunters. I think of gathering and wandering in the same thing, but I also think of it as opposite of hunting. But anyway, he was hunting. None of these neighbors showed up to testify. For drowning me in liquor and wine because I didn't want to drink, causing me to urinate on myself, then butting the end of the bottle in my face, giving me 2 black eyes and a bloody nose. Never saw that photo. For making me experience what it is to be escorted. Threatening to kill my friends and the neighbors when they checked on me to make sure I was alive and in one piece. Where are those friends and neighbors? For threatening to burn down our townhome and set my car on fire because I got a job. It seems like he would want her to have a job so they're not living off of her ex, right? The only money she's contributing to their household comes from Brian. We know George was a swing manager at Ace and he lost his job 2 weeks before she murdered him. For holding me hostage on weekends, my son was supposed to come over by keeping my keys around his neck, my phone in his crotch, and a butcher knife stuck in the middle of the table as a warning not to ask anything or try to leave. So Brian couldn't have dropped him off, or is this one of the times he dropped him off at it? He was notorious for dropping him off at an inconvenient. Okay. That was 4, right? For stabbing me in the leg and not letting me call 911 for an ambulance or seek help, where I nearly bled to death until I concocted a lie to save him from being arrested. For destroying my phone with a hammer because my son called. For me experiencing ever being arrested and after today, prison. Now she's forgiven George because he died and she killed him. For beating me almost blind, crushing my occipital load. So everybody pointed out that she means, I think, occipital, or she's saying occipital, and she means, what is this? The bone around your eye, but not the occipital lobe because she would be dead. It's in her head. For having me experience what it means to see stars, like in the cartoons where a character has a tall lump on their head. I had that too, many times, dragging me downstairs by my hair in the middle of the night just to sit next to him. For taking my car driving drunk with my debit card to buy more alcohol while I slept, even after I kindly explained the importance of my car to take my son to school, foremost, me to work, and he to his batterers, intervention classes, and probation officer meetings where I would be forced to sit for hours in the parking lot waiting for him. Girl, why didn't you drive home? Did he tell you you had to sit there? That makes zero sense. And she's saying all this. This reminds me of her family letters where she's talking about her car, where Brian is moving to another city. And she's like, how am I going to do that without my car? What do you mean I have to pay for my own travel? For causing me so much trauma and pain mentally, physically, emotionally, I had to be hospitalized more than once. For destroying my reputation and integrity. For my M for murder or scarlet letter. Pretty sure you earned that yourself. Not letting me feel safe to live, talk to other people, spend time with my son, have a job, friendships. Simply go to the bathroom with the door closed, or go to sleep soundly or comfortably. I forgive George for lying, for him trying so many times to end me with his terrifying love. Yes. Okay. There you go. So one of you guys told me there's a book called Terrifying Love that she took this out of. Someone else said affirmations. And then I think I was watching The Lazy Gamer, and he like had the book that she was quoted from, like first page or something. Oh, I know. Okay. Yes, dear. Oh my God. Okay. I got you guys bouncing around. Oh. Hang on, guys. I did it again. I'll go back. Sorry, guys. There's a lot going on here. Okay. I also forgive the Torres family, his mother and father foremost, also his two ex-wives and daughters, all for knowing who George was capable of and has done in the past, his history of violence and where he learned it, than to keep turning a blind eye when I would ask for help. So this is what I was saying. The daughter, the youngest daughter at the time she unalived George, was 14 or 15. We heard the daughter say when she was on that morning show that she tried to unalive herself after her dad died. So I think this is especially shitty of Sarah to drag her into this. Like, what was that 14-year-old, 15-year-old young lady going to do to help grown-ass Sarah Boone get out of a violent relationship when she wasn't willing to help herself? And they're saying his history of violence and where he learned it. So their family is saying he does not have a history of violence, but she's adding in this next Pharrell because she wants to be like, oh, it's hereditary, it's DNA. Notice she doesn't mention her Pedialyte brother. Oh, I was just watching someone. Did you guys know when Sarah was on that game show that her brother was on there? The one who's in prison is on there with her. That's her John. His middle name, I think, is Tyler or Taylor, which now he goes by Taylor, but that's her brother. And I'm pointing because my TV's over there. But yeah. But she's not mentioning him. All of his siblings, including Pharrell Torres, who is now on his way to prison for stabbing the mother of their baby in the side of her head. For everyone who knew what George was doing to me, sometimes how and when, but allowed and enabled. They don't know what was going on. And just as she wanted to be innocent until proven guilty, so is Pharrell. I forgive them for caring too late. I hope they all ask themselves why while quiet and comfortable in bed at night, the uneasy question: what could I have done to stop this from happening to both of them? And after all the time Sarah tried to by asking for help from all of us, and so many times, underscore, why didn't she leave? This blaming, this forgiveness, it's just cruel. It's cruel. It's tacky. If she thought this was going to get her leniency from the judge, she really is. What did he say? She's got the personality. She's got, um, yeah, just the fact that she can't like comprehend how off she is from the rest of us. Another great contributor of my gold is social media. That's us, you guys, with its greed, insensitivity, deception, obvious exploitation, and advantageous gain for my criminal case as a whole, and for sentencing me by anticipation as a result of ignorance and hate conjured and fabricated by the organized crime that is social media, which condemned me in the court of global public opinion since the beginning. Objectively, you recorded yourself killing your boyfriend. You have a snuff film. You said you locked him in there. Like, it wasn't a puzzle, ma'am. It wasn't a great mystery. You said it in your police interview that you zipped him up in there. Like, I don't understand what the disconnect is. And it's second degree murder, which means they do not have to prove intent. So you keep saying it was not intentional. Great. Nobody's saying it is. My family law case is the new prey, waiting to be picked apart and pillaged from me being made infamous by social media in my criminal case. Yeah, because you keep writing these letters, ma'am, and we think it's bonkers and all want to get together to heal. And you knew you were infamous, but you're writing like you're trying to take money away from your son when your ex-husband is unemployed and you are wanting $1,000 a month. It simply seems I cannot forgive and be forgiven and move forward. Why can't you forgive? I just realized that. Okay, sir. Because isn't this all about forgiveness? Now it's you cannot forget. Are you trying? Are you trying, Sarah? Excuse me. And nobody has to forgive you for but the mom stood up there and said she doesn't hate you. So she's a bigger woman than I am. Social media has made me a pariah. It has caused great oppression and undeniable disadvantages, especially by broadcasting and manipulating my cases online. You know, her ego is so great that she thinks that it's just being done to her. There's a whole true crime genre, and I'm surprised her friends did not tell her that. I mean, there's two people. Her one friend who needs the kidney who talked about being a true crime fan, and then one of the jurors, I think it was 25, 35, is a true crime fan. She didn't make it to the end, but she was like, I think whatever their pre-numbers were. It's okay. In my criminal case, as a result, my opportunities to be given a fair, proper, and uninfluenced successful conclusion was heavily depleted and poisoned. I forgive them. Also, all the media tycoons for not having a life of their own, trying so desperately to make themselves seem so right by making me appear so wrong. So I work for one of the media tycoons, and we did not cover Sarah. So it's not all of the media tycoons. And for not having a life, they have minions like me who work for them. So they have a life. Trust me. They got jets. They got houses, palatial house. Like, please. Forgiveness for prejudgment, ridiculous theatrics. I need her to learn how to spell ridiculous. That's the second time she spelled it with the R-E-D. Lies, making and taking blood money from my and others' misfortunes, accidents, and catastrophes. It's all over their hands and keyboards. My hands are clean. And even after that's rich too, from someone who actually killed someone to be telling us it's on our hands and our keyboards. Girl, sit down. You thought you said something. And even after all that's been said and done, theorized, hypothesized, scrutinized, and blasphemed in my case, still no one knows me. And that is her biggest downfall. Who we don't need to know you. Knowing you doesn't make you guilty or innocent. Like, she's so used to talking her way out of stuff with her sad stories about her dogs and now about her friend who needs a kidney that she probably is not healthy enough to deliver because, hello, alcoholic. It doesn't regenerate like the liver. The kidneys are there. Yeah. My What? My gold? My gold also runs deep for my prior attorneys, Mauricio Padilla, who sold me the world with empty promises, then abandoned his responsibilities as my attorney after taking 2.5 years of my life when finally realizing he was in over his head, all while hoarding JAC dollars to fund his staycations with his family when in town from Miami. Oh my God, girl. Is that enough? Stop it. So, I want to ask for the JAC payments then. It's not his staycation. A staycation is when you stay home, though. He's not from Orlando, so I don't understand how that would be a staycation. And if he went and his family, where is she coming up with that? For having resources ready and available, not allowing me, the client, to ever utilize, which could have greatly progressed my case and perhaps concluded, only for him to decide water parks, fine dining, and choice hotels were more important and on the JAC's dime. Girl, this is what Owens crossed out. I forgive Frank J. Bakowitz for committing perjury to the judge. Oh my God, this bitch has lost her mind. And on court record about my attempts to be a proactive defendant and client, inquiring about my discovery, then trying to communicate with no answer or correspondence in any matter for 1 full year and 2 months before I was _able to finally meet with him in the courtroom, only to receive his motion to withdraw. You know why, Sarah? Because you sent a whole bunch of nasty letters in between there. Like, I love that you're pretending you had no part in it, but we saw the letters. Frank J. Bankowitz is forgiven for his greed in taking $15,000 from the JAC, who honorably aid indigent defendants as myself, for taking advantage of and robbing the justice system by lying and avoiding clients taking their money and the JACs. Oh my God. Girl, he worked for over, what did he work? 13 months. He earned every penny of that $15,000. I think he should have been given more because he got the same amount that Hobson and Cashman got. Hobson was on there 4 months. No, sorry, Cashman was on there 4 months. Hobson, I think, was 8 months, 9 months, but still, they got robbed. Winston E. Hobson, especially trying to take your phone calls, it impacted his life. He said his wife was upset she was calling so much. Winston E. Hobson receives my forgiveness, who also unethically perjured himself to the judge and on court record about all the progress and attorney work he did in my case for the 2 months he was court appointed. That's not true, because he got appointed in 2023, and then she didn't get Cashman until the beginning of 24. Anyway, he was court appointed, and this is in the judge's 16-page order. So she's just blowing smoke. For his allegations of my supposed unethical request, which meant me asking about my discovery and trying to have him file a motion for my lawful inclusion to my pretrial conferences, cited under Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure Discovery Rule 3.220. I wanted to be included in my case, and no progress from being excluded by Bankowitz and Padilla over 3 years prior. Forgiveness, also in telling me he would return in a week with my discovery, only to receive his motion to withdraw in the meantime. Still not receiving my discovery, and I filing my own motion, enabling me to go to all my hearings, including my pretrials. And what did she do at the pretrials? All she did is listen and complain. The other thing is, we now know, and she knows too, so this I feel is like disingenuous. The discovery, the what's her name? DeSanto? No. Oh my God. Di Giovanni. Gina Di Giovanni, the captain, did not want those papers in there and rushed to get them back out when they were accidentally, when you attempted a conversation until you got what you wanted. Continued forgiveness in his greed and selfish intentions, also for robbing the JAC and indigent defendants of $15,000 more for nothing, justifying any work he really did in the handful of days he represented me as my attorney. Oh my God. So because, and he said he had she wasn't in that hearing, but that's when he said that she was gaslighting the staff as well as the attorney, is what Hobson said to that judge, to the chief judge of that court. Finally, and with all my goal received from this one, I forget, Patricia A. Cashman for her mean, snotty underscore egotistical attitude and not listening or caring, that I finally received my discovery I kept asking her for, which she fully withheld from me, citing her ridiculous, untrue reasons was because I saw with my first attorney 4 years prior. And while she being my present, at that time, attorney, I saw not one page of or any digital evidence of my discovery she prohibited me from seeing. So we know this is a lie because she said in court that she had re-given Sarah the medical records, and that Sarah's notes were in the margins. If that were a lie, she would have said that. If that were a lie, Sarah would have said it either at that time or now. She's just now mentioning it. I'm calling BS. And if you saw it 4 years ago, it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all. So whatever strategy you were going to have 4 years ago, oh yeah, but you lied. You changed your story. So now you have to change your story to fit the evidence. So you got to look at it again to make sure. And because you didn't read those transcripts about that suitcase being heard going down the stairs, you missed that part. Then had to come up with the lie to say, oh, they got the days mixed up. Who's more reliable, the drunk lady or the 2 college students who try to avoid you, both under the age of 21? Patricia A. Cashman is also forgiven for admitting I had a right to a bond I asked her for, so I could actually utilize one of my rights as opposed to having them always violated as prior and still ongoing. Then her deference of all my opportunities to do so. Deterrence. Is it deterrence? It still doesn't make sense. Then her deterrence of all my opportunities. Deference? I don't know what she's saying there. For all of her lies. See, this is why your attorneys quit, because you're calling them liars. And that is like career ending for an attorney. For all her lies, condescension, gross, unnecessary arguments, and anger that I asked any questions and wanted to understand. Now, she's feigning innocence, like, oh, I just asked a question. Well, we know Sarah was probably drilling this poor woman, and this woman was not having it because Sarah's got something with women, strong women, even though she's identifying as one. We don't claim you, Sarah. And so she argued with Patricia Cashman just like she argued with James Owens. If everybody's arguing with you, it might be you. I can count on one hand the arguments that I've had in all of 2024. One hand. And I wouldn't even use all the fingers because I just don't live that life. That I asked any questions and wanted to understand, for her doing nothing other than give me an even harder time and request transcripts, then brazenly lie for over $16,000 for doing so, also from the precious resources provided from the JAC. Ma'am, you wasted the resources, because if you wouldn't have quit alienating attorneys and forcing them to quit, we wouldn't have had, the JAC would not have had to pay $45,000. I forgive Patricia A. Cashman for being a liar and a bully. Patricia Cashman don't care about you, ma'am. And if she's a bully, that's what you needed, and you didn't understand that. Forgiveness for all those who did not include me to receive my $15,000 share I worked for when Judge Kraynick forced me to be my own attorney. Yeah, they kind of pay that to licensed, barred attorneys, Sarah, which you're not. Remember, you didn't know what sustain meant? So $15,000 for what now? To represent myself as pro se. I actually and finally got my own discovery almost 5 years later. Girl, it's still not even 5 years. What are you talking about? Filed motions all prior should have done, making them the most expensive motions, even at over $46,000 between the 3 prior attorneys. Frank J. Bankowitz. And it's she's got a lot of nerve saying that Padilla stole JAC money when he worked for her for 2 years for free. He was working pro bono. He did not get a dime. So the expenses, all of what's called her due process fees were paid by JAC, but Padilla didn't get one red dime. Ooh, I don't know if that's politically correct. Take that back. He didn't get a dime. I don't know what color it was. Would they have done so when supposedly representing me? $46,000 between the three prior attorneys, Frank J. Bakowitz, Walter E. Hobbs, and Patricia A. Cashman. Would they have done so when supposedly representing me? The motions would have been priceless for the proper use of the JAC funds toward ethics, professionalism, honesty, and freedom. I don't understand what she means. The motions would have been priceless for the proper use of the JAC funds toward ethics, professional. So they should have taken the JAC funds and paid for ethics, professionalism, honesty, and freedom. I don't understand that. I honorably utilize my JAC resources and mentorship as a proactive indigent defendant. She's always got to big up herself. And Lauren Owens has said she has low self-esteem. We can't tell. Avidly defending myself against the liars, thieves, and real villains in my criminal case. Who really is the criminal? Oh, are we gonna pay 20 questions we're gonna play, Sarah? So the person convicted of murder, that's the criminal. The JAC can hopefully include their forgiveness for them also. The JAC needs to forgive? No. The JAC is asking for forgiveness for having to put up with your stank ass. Judge Wooten and Kraynick, I have great forgiveness for also in not protecting me and listening to my valid request for judicial. Oh my God. How she just can't understand. They're not going to intervene on your behalf. Valid request for judicial intervention so I could properly and fairly defend myself against my charges. Instead, I had to defend myself against the attorneys and appointed by the judge and court, all appointed by the judge and court, same person, against their lies and exaggerations, reasons unjustifiable why they were really creeping away from the battlefield. Here we go again with the battlefield, and abandoning their professional duty as my attorney. It's like it doesn't occur to her ever that her actions are responsible for her outcome, right? You wrote the shitty letters. You were told to stop writing shitty letters. The people quit. Nobody wants to put up with that. Nobody wants to risk their license, their occupation for you. You're not worth it. And they're only getting $15,000. Like, who wants to deal with that? Just think about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not a customer in the way that you're thinking you're a customer, where you're always right, which a lot of places are getting away from that, thank God. Okay, Judge Kraynick, I forgive you for not giving me any opportunity to stand at your pulpit, to stand at all to explain what? You stood up in the well, sis, to stand at all to explain the real, truthful side of the story. So you got on the stand and lied? Well, we know that, but are you admitting that you lied when you got on the stand? Because you had a chance to tell the truth. You swore to tell the truth. And now you're saying you didn't get to tell the truth. I believe if the justice system, including yourself, would and should have done any vital homework on the already almost see-through attorneys from being spread so thin, and simply sending an email to care about their present workload, number of clients, trial schedules already in place before throwing another inmate defendant, unknowing client on the heaping, unimportant pile of warm bodies. More taxpayer dollars could be conserved. No, it wouldn't be, because you're going to be paying more people. And less time consumed and wasted for everyone, regardless of what part they play in the supposed system of justice. That's rich. So she's already wasted shit tons of money, and she's asking for more to be spent, instead of listening to what they're saying when they're like, they are strapped thin, they have a full caseload, wait your turn. She is like, nope. I mean, it worked out. She got 4 attorneys. I don't know what she's complaining about. She was better situated at trial because of Kraynick forcing her to go pro se, and that triggered Owens to go in, then she would have been, because multiple public defenders said more than one attorney was needed. Hobson said it, and Bankowitz said it, that it was more than one attorney needed. She got 4, all came in on a white horse. But yeah, she's forgiving people for this. My forgiveness is deepened for taking even greater time of mine away, years, by not caring to ask me anything about anything to understand, so you could justly render your life-defining judgments and withhold any more bias and prejudice. He didn't need to ask you anything. I mean, I thought it was ridiculous, because I was looking at some other footage, don't lie, y'all been doing it too, that she thought, oh, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, after the 58-page letter, she wanted him to ask more questions, which I think is bonkers. Does anybody else think that's crazy? You wrote 58 pages. There should be no questions left. Maybe she wanted to have oral argument. I'm not sure, but I just feel like that's a little, or is it me, guys? Like, you guys let me know. Is that crazy? That she was like, yeah. 58 pages. You didn't ask me any questions. I don't know what I need to do to get you to ask. If you didn't put everything you needed to say, that's on you. That is on you. Okay, I'm going to look at comments really fast. And consultant who apparently have pink degrees and certifications, according to, he never used their names, just females. Oh my God. Yeah, so the one female, which I don't know, I don't like that term for women. I mean, I understand that, but my dogs are also female. Do you know what I mean? Like, anyway, he did call them, when he wasn't calling them girls in our age, he was calling them females. The one who was the attorney was Tony Henderson's daughter, and then the trial consultant, right? So he had she had James Owens, Tony Henderson, Kevin Beck, and then Ms. Henderson, and the trial consultant. So she was in a far better position. Oh my gosh, she's got a lot of it, right? Lord Jesus. Brian should, I don't know how he put up with her, but I'm guessing it gets older. At least for me, like, my contempt gets, I don't know if it's more contempt or if I'm just more apt to let loose, you know? Um, Anybody else over the age of 50 have that experience? Like, it started probably when I was 45 and it just kept going. So I have fun in the comments with people. But I think she's just, at this point, she's just reckless with her mouth. Like, she is fresh out of fucks. Foremost, Judge Kraynick, I forgive you for kicking me when I was down, and choking the life out of my constitutional amendments. Why is she using violence? There's nothing about Zaddy Kraynick that gives violence. He's like the Zen master of it all. He did not kick you when you were down. He did not choke the life out of you, because clearly you're writing us this letter. Most profoundly, my 6th right to counsel. Maybe she means the 6th Amendment. My 6th right to counsel as a result of my wholehearted use of my first right to free speech and being my own advocate, since no one else would be and received a paycheck for. And all of my free speech experience driven letters only for remedy. No, they were for complaint. Let's just call it what it is. You were not specific, because you use a million words. So when you're asking for something, a raise, for example, right? You are as specific as possible. You want to include as much specificity so there is no ambiguity. Your letters, Sarah, are so ambiguous. You're saying $20 words when 2 cents would do. Pun intended. In all of my free speech experience driven letters only for remedy in any collaboration, inclusion, receiving my discovery as an inmate, defendant, and client, not removal of any attorneys to cause more delays, or any reason or excuse you may try to force on me and have already inappropriately accused me of doing prior with your heavily insinuated strategies of mine. He didn't insinuate, ma'am. He said it plainly that you were delaying the trial by having all these attorneys. That's what he said. He didn't insinuate shit. Um, to try and deflect the glaring red flags, disappointments, and true crime in and of the justice system. What are the red flags in the justice system, Sarah? Disappointment is your middle name. You are probably disappointed in my tone, but I know you forgive me, so I feel good. To this day and all forward, I do not forfeit my rights, any of them, ever, especially my right to be bold, outspoken, and right in my real life experience with the legal and justice systems. Isn't it the same? Isn't it one system? You weren't there, Judge Kraynick, in anything. No meetings, phone calls, visits, and still took my rights and oppressed harder. Yeah, we read the letters, Sarah. That's the thing. You have freedom of speech, sure. But as a responsible adult, it's a sword you should wield carefully. Although, in her mind, the pen is mightier than the sword. Maybe she should put the pen and the sword down. I must now defend myself against you, praying you do not care too late as all the others and retaliate further against me. Oh, this is what she was going to read during the sentencing me as a still proud citizen of the United States of my America. Oh no, we taking it back. And freely, excitedly using my God given rights to still try and defend myself, to stand all the way up for you to remove my freedom altogether by allowing and approving my stab wound, bloody body parts, R's, bumps, bruises, and all the rest of the beatings I endured. How would Judge Kraynick be involved in any of that, ma'am? Are you saying because you withstood that allegedly that you get a free pass to kill people? I hope you can finally see and understand just some of the pain from the extreme difficulties, obstacles, and unfairness, especially in my due process. You have added in my criminal case a life as an inmate, defendant, and client. All is forgiven. For detectives Copsel and Lowe, oh my God. I forgive their demonization, lies, blacklisting, coercion, lawbreaking, solicitation of my case before I even arrive at the corrections department to be booked and fingerprinted. Solicitation of her case? I don't understand that. How did they solicit before I even arrived at the corrections department to be booked and fingerprinted? I don't know what that means. I don't know what the law breaking is. I don't know where the coercion is because they asked you, sometimes people get fed up. Are you sure you didn't get fed up? And you said, no, it was a good day. This can be seen in my unbeknownst interrogation video where I ask what they are doing, what all the pinging was during their texting swarm, while I naively, spelled wrong, sit there waiting to be arrested, which they knew would happen the day before. For Copsel, for bold face, is it bold or bald face? I think that's an egg corn. Somebody Google it. Is it bold face or bald face? I always say bold face, like a bold face lie. But bald face is cleanly shaven, and Copsel is a woman, so that's why I'm questioning it. Lying on the stand to the judge and court, same person, on record, she didn't tell me to come to the station to pick up my phone. Why else would I go? I didn't even know about the surprise interrogation. What difference does it make? Do you think that matters? Do you think that matters if she said to pick up your phone or not? I don't think she lied, but if she did, like if she was gonna lie about anyway, you don't have any proof, Sarah. I forgive them. Like, why would they be dropping off phones? Oh, let's think about it. She wasn't even home. They were going to go to Brian's house, and they clearly had already talked about not arresting her in front of Lucas because Chelsea reiterates that. Remember, we told you we'd have you come here? Because I thought Sarah was going to pick up on that in the interrogation and be like, oh, this is it. That's why I'm here. I forgive them for also lying how the news showed up to record my walk of shame, handcuffed and confused on camera. That was priceless. I don't know why you were confused. You were arrested. I forgive them for trying to make me lose from the beginning by starting the unquenchable wildfire of sensationalism and distortion, ignorant hate, defamation, and greed by unlawfully broadcasting who they wanted the world to think I was by their schemes, learned lessons, and fraudulent strategies from the school of manipulation and taking advantage. How much did they make off of me and still all for calling it in, then removing the curtain? Oh my God. How much did it's how many perp walks have we seen? Like, that's a thing. They announced that this crime has happened, that this person is being arrested, and they had a video. What is better for content than a video um of you cruelly letting this man die? Like, nobody did anything except play the video, and then they came and picked you up. What are they doing here? And then Scott was like, it's a public place. Yeah, they're you filmed it, ma'am. You filmed it. How much did they make off of me? How why would did the detectives make their money? Like, they anyway, to expose their personally twisted murdering monster. You said it. Also, my forgiveness and greater gold comes from wondering why nothing viable in my defense was taken from my townhome, aka the crime scene, to aid in my truth, such as the butcher knife, five-pronged garden claw, or hammer under the table together outside, where George had easy access for use if I tried to leave or call for help while being held against my will during his rageful binges. So the reason why, Sarah, because they were not part of the crime, of the murder. So if you had killed him, for example, by butcher knife instead of by suitcase, that would have appeared in your trial. The five-pronged garden claw wasn't picked up, same reason. Also because you kept saying you were having a good day. Remember when she said in the interrogation she was surprised they didn't take the curtain rod because he hit her with that before? Man, what is did you kill him because of the curtain rod? If I tried to leave or call for help. But she never alleges that he came after her with the garden claw or the hammer. She says the butcher knife was as a threat in the table. Why would they take that? And then she's like, five-pronged garden claw. Like, did he hit you with it, ma'am? Did he stab you with it? What? Why are we? What? Okay. A call for help while being held against my will during his or my bloody pillowcase stained from me being backhanded because I hid the magnum. Oh, now you know what a magnum is? Is that why you put it in quotes? Because when Mr. J was asking you, you didn't know what a magnum was. They did collect the bloody pillowcase. That was in the evidence sheet. Why her team didn't have it entered, I don't know. That's up to her. But she would have seen that in when they did the physical, which she did it without Owens, but she did it with Mr. J. But that would have been there when they did the physical review of evidence at the sheriff's. Why weren't any crime scene photos taken of holes patched in walls and doors? That the maintenance man said did not happen. And there were photos taken. You would have seen like patches if there was, because they took a what do you call it? Like a foundation photo, right? Just to establish the rooms. You would have seen that in the walls. Because that apartment complex did not sound like a top tier. I know Melissa said she ran a tight ship, but I think she was there more to run the people than to run the property, because it sounds like people were drunk and acting a fool all the time in that apartment. There was the one guy who was on Carrie's channel who was like a former or recovering addict, and he was like out of his mind high all the time. So those people, I mean, no offense to anybody who's struggling with drugs or any addiction. Hopefully you get help. But usually their standards are not that high. They're not like I don't know. I can't even think of something. If the sink is clogged, are they gonna call right away? You know what I mean? Like, anyway. Um some doors missing knobs and all locks George removed, cracked windows, broken furniture, obvious unnatural destruction in my townhome. A cracked window or broken furniture in and of itself is not a sign of physical abuse. I have a tray that's on my ottoman. It's a fabric ottoman and a wood tray. My son likes to throw it on the floor, so I have to keep putting the tray back together at the corner. Nobody was being abused. Do you know what I mean? A window can get cracked with nobody being abused. Missing knobs and all locks removed. So, did we see any doors in the crime scene photos? Now I gotta go back and look at that. It makes no difference. All is forgiven. Prosecutors, Mr. J and Mr. Cacciatore. Hey. The smart one and the strong one. Mr. Cacciatore's got those guns. Mr. J's got that snark. We love them both. Thank you, Mr. J and Mr. Cacciatore, for bringing it home. My forgiveness is also extended for your inappropriate attributed motives. You don't know why you did it. So what, they don't have to know why you did it. For having to go through years of my pictures, videos, texts to erroneously piece together, oh, your deceitful, damning version of what really happened and who I am. After so much availability and for so long, you were finally able to make the circle fit into the square. Girl. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, a moving picture is worth 1,000,000. And girl, from your own lips, you said a mouthful on tape or video. 2024, we don't have tape. I forgive your antics, theatricals, ludicrous comments to make sure the world got their money's worth while watching with ignorant pitchforks and burning torches, hoping for the best from you, which is my worst. Instead of dropping the mic, Mr. J, you dropped the bat. Did she think she did something with the dropping of the bat? I don't think it was giving what she thought it was giving. He dropped the mic, the bat, and you, Sarah. He dropped it all. He left it all on the mat. For the yelling, finger pointing, and intense underlining to force your theoretical. Oh, no, she is not calling out somebody for underlining. Your theoreticals and fantasies on the jury by using imaginary space adventures and fictional characters to blind and bedazzle them. Girl, are you coming for Star Wars? Are you coming for Star Wars? I don't like it. To blind and bedazzle them with your far, far away from the truth dramatizations. Okay, I'm gonna give it to that was funny. But they weren't dramatizations, but that was a nice play on words for once. In all of your pieced together productions, I forgive you most for never seeing the light in people, their human goodness, humor, and big hearts. You mean people who care for deaf and blind dogs, ma'am? Because I haven't seen them interact with other people. Although one of you guys said Mr. J was in the interview room with Stefan Stearns. But I'm not sure which one you mean. You wake up to seek out the opposite, to condemn, to take lives in your own way. Oh, so now they're murderers too? See the good that does exist in all of us, inherently and unforced, even as the proud something. Oh, Mr. J stated, the kicked dog that bites. Mr. J, who kicked the dog in the first place? Are you the dog? I hope Mr. J kicked you if you're the dog. In my wisdom, it's usually best to leave sleeping dogs lie. Then they don't bite. Sarah, you have no wisdom. That is an oxymoron. If you had wisdom, you would not be serving life right now. You might have gotten 10, 15 years. My gold goes out to the jury. Ooh, for not understanding my cracks, from being blinded from the injustice and malpractice in all of the judicial and prosecutorial errors, the very apparent violations of my constitutional rights during my case and entire trial, which caused mass confusion and dysfunction. Remember when Kraynick asked her which constitutional rights specifically? The only thing she had was the bond. Ma'am, we need specificity. What constitutional rights? If there were, you've lost that for appeal because you had a chance to say it on record and all you came up with is bond. I forgive the jury truly for being weary from this confusion and dysfunction, also from being hungry and tired and wanting to go home to their families after being away from in full capacity for 2 full weeks. I understand. They weren't away from their family, ma'am. They weren't sequestered. They went home every night. The hell is she talking about? And they ate dinner that night. She's saying hungry and tired. That's why they wanted to get the hell out of there on a Friday. They ate while they were deliberating, ma'am. They didn't need that long. It wasn't rocket scientists. It wasn't like, oh my God, I wonder how he died. I wonder if she's responsible. What happened? Like, it was none of that. It was whether or not you were justified, whether or not you acted in self-defense. We all walked in knowing you killed him. From this and their brash, misguided, corrupted decision, I was wrongfully judged a murderer instead of a survivor. For this, all is forgiven. For this, I can still survive and stand tall, having an even greater, the greatest opportunity to finally be understood in the Supreme Court for my appeal. Oh, girl, I don't think this is going to make it out of Florida Supreme Court, but okay. I didn't lose. God just wanted me to win in a different way. Freedom in forgiveness. Okay. Everything in life is not a zero sum, win or lose. But you definitely didn't win, however you define it, ma'am. You're getting what you deserve. You're going to have the life you deserve. In the end, I forgive myself for not choosing my life sooner, for not being more brave, vigilant, bolder, and outspoken, stronger mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, for being hopeless, desperate, simple-minded, weak, and inexperienced. I thought she always had hope. That's why she's here now, because she has hope. I forgive myself for not realizing I was enduring a life of domestic violence and that the vicious cycle of never ends. I had nothing to compare to. I've never been hit by a man ever before in my life. I was raised hitting a woman was wrong and should never happen. No excuse. Ma'am, it's not an excuse. You don't get to just rail on people and then when they defend themselves get upset. Or even if they're not defending themselves, if they wail back on you, like, oh, no, you didn't. You don't get to claim there's a force field because you're a woman. You as a woman swung them things. You as a woman need to catch them hands. Okay. We shouldn't lay hands on anyone. That's the right thing to say. But I'm just saying, you never know how the mind is going to work, how the instincts of our ancestors are going to come popping through at any moment. I forgive myself. For not escaping permanently, for not fighting back sooner to save myself, my son, my dogs, home, and car. Having 2020 hindsight, thinking of everything I could have done differently or better to avoid the outcome. I think about this every day since. Every day since you were convicted, every day since you murdered him. Also, of all the good days we had together, for him at least, while I was constantly in hyperdrive, high alert, and paranoid, making sure I did everything right all the time, I knew if not, the great possibility I would be ended, as George threatened me with so many times before. I forgive myself for falling in love with a monster, no matter how grotesque he may become. I still loved, hoped, and forgave. I tried breaking the spell so he wouldn't be a monster anymore. I saw who he was inside. This is also another side I dig because remember she kept calling him a monster in the text after he was beaten up by his brother and had to have his face reconstructed. And I was looking at some photos of him, of George, on Facebook, and I think I can tell, like, before and after, because there's like he's was still a good looking man, no doubt, but there was like an oddness to it. there's a fakeness to his eye, even though it's his actual eye. Like just the way it sits, it doesn't look quite right. The way it sits in the socket, like it's puffy under here, and there's something going on. You guys look and let me. And he's got like 4 profiles on Facebook. Let me know what you think. Anyway, that's when she refers to it as a monster and grotesque. It's overly specific. He's a good looking man. George made me then, now, and always love him for all of his cracks also. We made each other our own brilliant pieces of art from the cracks and repairs. Unfortunately, not all cracks can be. Hang on one second. I think I need to move the other 8 minutes. We're going to wrap this up because the other stream. Let me just move the other stream to 9:30 and then we'll go over there. Because people might be waiting for us. And then I'll pop everybody over there. Okay. Let me go back to the letter. In all of my forgiveness, George is my greatest lesson and will forever be a part of me. I think of him every day and still speak to him when alone on the rec yard. I ask his forgiveness and that he looks for me at the gates of heaven so I can tell him how sorry I am endlessly and that I never stopped loving him in all of it and still. So this blows me back, this whole thing, because she's out on the one hand saying she wants to get away from him, but on the other hand, she still loves him. That the fact that she's going to the gates of heaven, like, girl, you just going to get a look and then headed on down? Or I don't recommend George look for you. I recommend George stay away from you. In the afterlife, you're still going to be dangerous, ma'am. You're the angel that fell. When I first came to jail, I put my mat under my bed and cried all day and all night for months, only falling asleep from being so exhausted with grief. I wrote him letters. I wrote his family and his daughters apologizing and asking for their forgiveness. But due to fear that my life would be jeopardized, or sons would be jeopardized. So much here. What does that mean too? I put my mat under, the mat is what they have instead of a mattress, and she put it under the bed along with herself, like she was under the bed? Because I'm pretty sure that doesn't follow the rules, and cried. Or did she just put the mat under there and lay on like the metal part? I don't know what she's saying. So she's saying for the first months, falling asleep only when exhausted. And how would writing his 14-year-old daughter put your life or your son's life and daughter, the 14, 15-year-old? The other one was an adult. She's in a different state. She didn't even come for your trial, so I don't know what you mean. I did not send. I am sorry. I cannot begin to fathom any of their grief and sadness. Forgive me. Almost everything reminds me of him. Seeing my stab wound every day, especially, it truly reminds me all I really did live through. You need to see a doctor, ma'am, if you still have a wound. You've been in prison for 58 months. If you still have a stab wound, something is wrong. It should be a scar. George haunts me. He is everywhere. I believe, because I do still love him, think of him and miss him, his laugh the most. In my heart, I know he is with me and understands that this tragedy was not intentional. Well, as Chelsea said, I would say if it helps you sleep at night, but you haven't been sleeping well. I hope everyone can, his family foremost. I didn't mean for this to happen. Please wholeheartedly know that. Know that. And always. I would never. And why does she keep saying his family and his daughters? Are his daughters not his family? I don't understand. Like, why does she say it over and over? Forgive me, George. Forgive me, Torres family. Forgive me, Judge Kraynick. To the entire planet. Forgive me. Girl, You wish. The entire planet was not watching you, Sarah. I graciously and humbly ask for consideration, for forgiveness to be extended instead of judgment, for reconciliation and restoration, for all of us to move forward. My apology is profuse and ceaseless. That also did not make sense. Allow me, please, to brush off the muck, wipe the blood off my face. She spelled off wrong. And fix the cuts in my skin. I ask for understanding in what really happened and for how long. So, because you were beaten for a long time, it's okay to kill him? For second chances, repentance, and redemption, to advocate for all domestic violence survivors, to help them overcome, heal, and still hope. Always. To make their voices heard, to confidently walk with all of their scars on the outside and inside, to help them not ever become a casualty of domestic violence, as so many others, to stop the abuse and maltreatment before it is too late. There is always hope. You can survive. In my soft spoken conclusion, oops, did I say that out loud? I ask this. Would I be the darling mother, celebrated woman of the year, if it were I who died? This tells a lot about Masera. She's jealous that people are saying justice for George. That people are like, the family stood up there and said, I hope my brother finally gets justice. I want justice for George. That the internet is saying it. You would not be celebrated woman of the year if you died, ma'am. The neighbors would come and say she was drunk all the time. You didn't let us celebrate George properly because you had to go in and say all of these things and muddy the waters. Like that had something to do with why you didn't let him out of the suitcase. How many daughters, mothers, sisters, aunts, grandmothers, nieces, and friends have been because they did? Have been celebrated because they died? I am a survivor. Because they died. But see, she's not saying if I had been killed. He didn't just die, he was murdered. And so if these women that you are listing out were also murdered and they were good people, they would be celebrated. But you are not a good person. I'm not saying anybody deserves to die, but you don't deserve to walk among us. Learn to do good, seek justice, rebuke the oppressor, which is Sadie Kraynick. Defend the fatherless, plead for the widow. Isaiah 1 through 117. Ma'am, you made 3 children fatherless. Get out of here. All encompassing. Protect the abused. Sarah Boone, 12 to 24. And there's the envelope. Wow. Thoughts? Thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. Like, oh my God, I was just falling asleep but caught alive. Guess I'll suffer tomorrow. Oh my God, we're gonna get out of here, Mrs. Jim Morrison. But yeah, LWAP is surviving. Yeah, because she is. Oh no, someone did 10-10-7-7. We never have to hear it again though. You're none of those things, Sarah. Yes, but not the ability to shut up. You said that right. Oh my God. No sound now? Who said that? I think you might be behind if you're saying no sound at 9:29. If George did this to her, that yeah, definitely. He responded. He was the abused, yeah. Uh-oh. Gentai, you're behind. What was cut from the original was horrible and would have been super bad for her. Yes, Mel. And so I'm sure Owens counseled her on this. I'm sure they had conversations on this. And yet she still, in her infinite wisdom, thought it was a good idea to send this. Kraynick is 1,000% sure. And this becomes a part of her court record. I heard someone was like, oh, they won't use these letters. No, they 100% will use the letters. It's entered on the record. They will use that against her. That will all be submitted to the appellate court. And it will be a part of Kraynick's order too, some of her letters. So yeah, it's on the record. They'll refer back to it because Kraynick refers to it in his 16-page order, right? He refers to her multiple letters, and so the appellate will look at that as part of, because I'm sure that she's going to appeal the Kraynick's order for her to not have counsel that's paid for by the state any longer, that part is going to be appealed, right? So they're going to look at his order. They're going to look at her letters that he references in that order. So like, I don't get it. He doesn't want to be connected to this mess and ruin his life or marriage. Oh, her brother. I don't blame him. No. And he's got like certain clearance. That was the other thing. Where was Sarah going if she got bonded out? Whose house was she going to live in? Because at that point, Brian had already moved the year before. She was asking to be bonded out this year, asking Cashman, who I think Cashman came on like what, February, March, somewhere around there. Where was she going? That I believe that's why Cashman was asking her brother like for his information. Like she was gonna have to say where she would be released there, because she has to go somewhere stable in the community, right? And there has to be someone kind of like keeping an eye out for her, vouching for her, so to speak. So I mean, where's Christina saying? Like Christina got out in April. Maybe she could stay with her. I don't know. Because Christina was out when she wrote that at that time. Because if Christina got out in April, I feel like she wrote that in June. Because that's June 28th is when Kraynick said she forfeited / waived her rights. So that letter was like 2 weeks before about why can I have bond. Maybe she was trying to get to Christina's. Although Christina was acquitted of whatever she was in for those 3-4 years. However, she does have a criminal history, which I don't think they can live together. Like, I don't think an ex-felon can house somebody out on bond. I might be wrong, but at least my understanding of the law, she would have mandated to not okay. Kent Sugi, not Kent Suk Roy. Gee, oh, she didn't even spell it like this. Okay. Kintsugi. I don't know why she you guys still can't hear me? Uh-oh. Kelly, can you guys, somebody drop a one if you can hear me? I'm about to head over to the other. Okay, you guys can't hear me. Thank you. I don't know why. Pretend Judge. I love your name. Oh my god. Everybody's here. Carol can't hear me. Okay, we're gonna end this one anyway. I'm gonna try to send you guys over to the other stream. Let's see if I can figure this out. Give me 1 second and we'll go into Corey Richards. Give me a second to get over there though, because I gotta open up all my tabs and get ready for that one. It's gonna be fun though. I found out a lot of crazy stuff about Little Miss Richards. It's kind of sad. Her husband seemed like a nice guy. Okay, let me send you guys over there. Let's see, how do I do this? Okay, we're here. Replay crew, I will leave on the live chat for you so you guys can watch that. I think I will. I might have waited too late to try to change it. Guys, I don't understand. Why would she want to piss off Kraynick? And how did she say, like, to me, he was more than fair to Sarah. And she said he delayed the trial. He kept it on schedule. Come hell or high water. She ended up getting a delay because of Milton, but I don't see how he could have been more fair. Like, what else did she want from him? He even gave her that damn discovery. So, okay, let's go to customization. Can I redirect? God, thank God. Okay. There we go. Does anybody feel sorry for her? I don't, and I feel like she still doesn't get it. The fact that she wrote that, then got convicted to life, and then came and wrote this after the conviction. I mean, she didn't write it after, but she submitted it after. And then she's on there attacking the detectives. She's attacking both the judges. She attacked the lawyers. She's saying people basically, she called them liars and thieves. Like, from when I was yay high, I was told that was the worst thing you could be, as a liar or a thief. She's calling them both, but she feels like it's okay because it's her freedom of speech. Whatever happened to tact? Judge Kraynick and all of us aren't losing any kind of sleep by Sarah Boone and her vindictive nature, nor does it change anything about what she did. Very true. Very true. I don't know what story she wanted to tell that she thought she could tell. Oh, yay, we can't hear you. So sorry. Oh my God. It will tell you when you're muted, except when I'm reading, I'm looking at a different tab, so I can't see it. And I went over here to mute it so I could talk to my devices without setting your devices off. And then that's when I realized. So I'm so sorry. Junkie the Bear is a member for 2 months. I love that you used your milestone. Thanks for being here for 2 months. Polynomial Purebred. Hey. Muted. Yes. Okay. I finally got it together, you guys. And also because you guys are asking, she is still at the Orange County jail. Let me just because somebody keeps, I'm like, you guys know you can visit this, right? Oh, I don't want to be on the visitation list. Oh my God. Orange County jail. Oh shoot. Give me 2 shakes. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see that? Nope. Okay. So she's still there. Still in Orange County as of 9:37 on December 11th. She's not moved. Her case status has been changed to sentenced, 2nd-degree murder, 1 hold. So she can't. And she's in F dorm. I think she was in B dorm at trial, right? So she's in F dorm now. Yes. Before I go, there is also someone who works at the jail who is willing to talk to us. I'm going to post something in the community tab for questions. I just want to make sure I have questions lined up so we don't waste our time. If you guys are interested, so keep an eye on the community tab. She's not a correctional officer. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think I should say anything else, but I want to say that part in case there's any correctional officer questions. That's not what this person does, but she's 2 KRs make it confusing. I don't know what a KR is. Okay. All right, guys. I appreciate you. So I'm going to send you over to the next stream. I'm going to end this stream and not mess it up like I did when I did the part 2 for her family court notes where I started it over. Do they? Thanks, Teresa. Over time, narcissists believe their own lies. It's like she has a whole different reality. You know how you have virtual reality goggles? Like she's got like a virtual reality brain. Like what we see is not what she sees. And it actually, I in that regard, I feel sad for her and that something is going on mentally, and I want to be careful because I don't want to make light of mental illness. Lots of people have mental illnesses and are just fine, or mental disorders. I suffer from anxiety. I'm a highly productive person, so I do want to be mindful about calling people, nutty as a fruitcake, because I heard that growing up. But there's definitely something mentally wrong with her, and I just hope that she gets the mental support that she needs, and her friends. Like you have the one person on there who is decided that Sarah's not a narcissist, despite 2 healthcare professionals, mental healthcare professionals trained in diagnosing it, didn't diagnose her with narcissism, but narcissistic traits. And then you have the person eating the kidneys, pretending that they didn't say that because Sarah had a deaf dog and a blind dog. Like, ma'am, she has those as a hook of niceness. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. Thank you guys. I will talk to you guys later. See you in a little bit. Toodles.